All right, so let's get started with the big news of the week, the Carson Wentz trade. Carson Wentz has been traded for a third-round pick in 2021 and a conditional 2022. The second rounder becomes a first-round pick if Wentz plays 75% of the snaps or 70%, and the team makes the playoffs. That would be the Colts making the playoffs. The Eagles will also take on $33.8 million in dead cap money, the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history. Of course, they wanted multiple firsts. They wanted a Stafford-like deal. They end up with a third and a conditional second. Shane, you go first. What is your reaction to Wentz to the Colts?
I think this is kind of a terrible trade on both ends, if I'm being honest. I think the Colts definitely win it. However, I don't like that they have to take on that kind of, like, his contract, because I think it is expensive for somebody like him. I mean, it's expensive in general, but, and we don't know if Wentz is going to start playing better now that he's with Frank Reich and he's in a new organization that maybe likes him a bit more, or if he is just going to be kind of how he was last year. So, and that, of course, also depends on how healthy he stays. So, in the last few years, he's managed to, I think 2 years, he's managed to stay healthy for the most part, which is a good sign. But, I mean, I think what he really needs most of all is just to feel like an organization believes in him, which, if you look at Philly, he was like, he had his potential MVP year, and then he gets hurt. They win the Super Bowl without him, and then they put up the Foles statue, so he has to look at that all the time. And then he comes in, and then they draft Jalen Hurts in the second round. So that kind of throws him off. He's like,
He threw him off too much.
Right.
Which I was really surprised by, according to reports. But
yeah, so now here we are. I think that to me just is like the difference between a good quarterback and a great quarterback, where he kind of let the pressure or the feeling that he wasn't good enough or that the organization didn't believe in him, and as a result he did pretty bad. Whereas you get a guy like Aaron Rodgers who a lot of people still thinking, oh, Favre is better than you, whatever, Favre, and then now they have their first round pick, and then he goes out and has an MVP year.
Yeah.
I don't know, but him in, granted, Green Bay is obviously a much better team. Matt LaFleur, I think, is better than Doug Peterson. But it'll be interesting if, how he does with Frank Reich there, and if they can kind of, rekindle and spark something with how he used to be. So I don't know. We'll see. And for Philly, I mean,
yeah,
that's just bad.
Yeah,
that's very bad.
Brandon, your thoughts on the deal?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I feel like Philly might as well have just given the Colts the first round pick, because I think
they should have given them the
in my opinion, I feel like there's very little way. There's very little chance, in my opinion, that he doesn't fulfill the quota.
Yeah.
For the first round pick. It feels
the Colts should make the playoffs even with Carson Wentz, considering
I don't
roster.
I don't actually know that, because you see a team teams can be good, but you need a half decent quarterback to lead a team to the Super Bowl or the playoffs. And Phillip Rivers he had a pretty good career. But like, that's a pretty big drop between Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz. And I'm a little surprised that Indy would make this, make him their guy. It has to be Frank Wright. But yeah.
Here's my thing. The Colts, what risk do they take here? There's no risk. It's actually insane. The risk is built into the trade, as Mike Florio has talked about.
Except for the contract.
I don't care. Who cares about the contract? I'm paying you a third for a guy that I could start, and then if he sucks, who cares? I can trade him again, or he can be on my bench.
Yeah, but he's not going to be tradable.
Yeah, if he's not tradable, fine. I'll have him on my bench. Yeah, the contract sucks, but I only paid a third. I paid nothing. I paid a conditional second. Who cares? Like, I paid nothing. So why does it matter?
But you're picking up all his money.
You're picking up his money, but again, you're not. The risk is built in. Well, yeah, the dead money's with the Eagles. I don't care about the dead money from the Colts. It's like there's nothing. That's what makes me so upset with the Eagles here. Is like, okay, maybe you could have picked up his $10 million roster bonus on March 17th, and maybe could have gotten a better deal. I don't know if they wanted to do that. But it's also so stupid that they were looking for a Stafford-like deal. That was very clear, and look what they ended up with. They just caved. They literally had another month to try to make a deal work that could have been better suited for them with the Colts, because probably the Colts were the only option. Because the Bears weren't going to make a deal with them at all.
I mean, to be honest, I would say the Eagles screwed up in the first place giving a guy like Carson Wentz such a giant contract. Like,
same with Jared Goff getting the massive deal when they didn't have to pay him.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like it's said all the time. Like, don't pay players too early.
Don't pay a guy if you're not 100% sure about it.
Right, like
you're just gonna put yourself in this situation over and over and over again, and we've seen it in full display this offseason already.
Like, if they have a year left on their contract before you have to pay them,
you got that fifth-year option.
That fifth-year option. Don't go giving them a crap load of money only because a lot of the times when players end up getting a crap load of money, they end up sucking.
Yeah, and you end up having to trade them and getting like stupid cap hits. Crazy.
Yep.
It's like the only quarterbacks you should be really giving money to are quarterbacks that have shown consistency through multiple back-to-back years in their career.
And you're comfortable with them. I don't think the Rams comfortable with Goff. I don't think the Eagles were ever comfortable with Wentz considering his injuries. Here's the 5 largest dead cap hits in NFL history according to CBS Sports. Wentz, Goff, Brandon Cooks with the Rams, Antonio Brown with the Steelers. That one they were fine taking. And then now Stafford. So there's a bit of a trend here, at least with the quarterbacks on this list, other than, I guess, Stafford. So probably just Wentz and Goff, but even for Cooks and Brown, these were guys that kind of had to take the cap hits.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that the Eagles weren't able to work out getting at least a player back from...
Who would you get back? That's the question. Who would they be willing to give up?
Well, let's see. If they're giving... If I was the Eagles, I would not be caring so much about
picks.
I'd be caring more about, okay, we need to start getting guys that we can build around. And I would say probably I would have maneuvered the whole we're picking up his cap, we're taking the hit, and I would say we'll use that as a way to argue for someone decent. Obviously not like one of their stars or anything, but
you want a running back? I mean, if I'm the Colts, that's all I'm giving you.
Offensive.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Maybe. I mean, they're pretty deep.
I'm just giving. Just take them. I'm just giving you Marlon Mack. Just take them. Well, I don't care about giving you a player.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm the Chief, I mean, if I'm the Eagles, I'm going for someone like, I don't know, maybe T.Y. Hilton, who has shown, Robert.
You can't trade him. You can't trade him. He's a free agent.
Robert, this is Exactly. You do a sign and trade deal.
I guess. Yeah.
This is a guy who was made it very clear that he probably doesn't want to come back to the.
Yeah, it looks like he's not coming back. Yeah, that's true.
And he's also someone that fits the MO for the Eagles, just like fast, old. Just like guys who are at the end of their career and they're like, sure, we'll take them. Maybe, I would say maybe Naheem Hines, because Jonathan Taylor is going to take his job next year. But
yeah, and they still got Marlon Mack and Jordan Wilkins. The thing is, if I'm the Colts, I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying no, because you're going to end up giving me a 3rd-round pick anyway.
Yeah,
I don't need to give you like all the cards were with the Colts. So if you give me this offer, I'm just like, nah.
And the thing is, the Colts are like, why would the Colts do that when they're at a point where they're like on the precipice of Super Bowl contention?
Yeah, they're at a point where they're ready to be competitive. What's the point?
They only need like 1 or 2 pieces, in my opinion.
This shows how dumb the Eagles were here.
Well,
thinking that they were going to get a Stafford-like deal, and then they end up getting this because guess who holds the cards? The opposing team.
The problem with the Eagles is they're so screwed because they are just they're so far down the hole right now that their mind is still, oh, we can be competitive. Nah, Eagles, you gotta say scrap it and rebuild. Like, you are so far down the hole right now that you are nowhere close to.
They're going to start taking massive cap hits because we'll get to it later in the show. Zach Ertz is going to leave potentially as well. So they're going to be in some cap trouble too, some dead cap trouble.
They're going to have to drop a lot of players.
Yeah.